This next cojones goes to a man who's dear to my heart for standing up for stand-up. When dozens of Netflix employees walked out over Dave Chappelle's reckless decision to perform comedy on his comedy special. CEO Ted Sarandos could have pulled the special. Instead, he reminded his Netflix employees that comedy exists to push boundaries and told them if you'd find it hard to support our content breadth, Netflix may not be the best place for you. So, for making the phrase, "Don't let the door hit you in the ass," never sound better, this is for you, Ted.
So, for making the phrase, "Don't let the door hit you in the ass" never sound better, this is for you, Ted. Ma isn't finished waging war on Hollywood's woke darlings. Recently, he blasted a handful of stars for shoving the woke agenda down everyone's throats and criticized them for being completely detached from reality. Classic Ma, he shredded their flimsy arguments, exposing the hypocrisy and hollow theatrics behind their virtue signaling. There's plenty to unpack here, so let's dive in.
There's no getting around the fact that what was on the mind of the liberals that night in Brentwood, or wherever we may have been, was that the most powerful witch hunters now were coming from Twitter, the Ivy League, and the progressive left. J.K. Rowling used to be a villain to the right because she wrote books about witchcraft. Now she's a villain to the left because she has the crazy belief that there's more to being a woman than pronouns and lipstick.
Ma kicked off the evening by pointing out a brutal irony. The woke left loves to worship its heroes until those heroes dare to say something that doesn't fit the script. Then, just like that, they're excommunicated. J.K. Rowling may be the most infamous example, but she's hardly alone. Elon Musk was once Silicon Valley's golden boy. Joe Rogan was the edgy voice of progressives, and even Ma himself was celebrated as a liberal firebrand. Yet the moment they voiced unpopular opinions, the woke mob turned on them with claws out. Loyalty, it seems, lasts only as long as conformity does.
So that was the point of the evening. How do we take a stand against cancel culture? And I suggested, since we were mostly all in show business, that we start an award show to honor the brave people who have fought back. Well, I got to tell you, the idea was met with great enthusiasm by everyone. And in short order, different people were suggesting the ways that their varied talents could be put to use. And then, of course, being Hollywood, nothing happened. But it's still a good idea, so I'm going to do it right here, right now. And not only that, we're going to do it every year.
So, if you're wondering what Ma is really saying, here's the breakdown. He wants to crown Hollywood's true rebels, the stars who refused to kneel before the cancel culture inquisition. These are the ones who didn't grovel, didn't issue those carefully scripted PR apologies, and didn't delete their statements just to appease the mob. Instead, they doubled down, stood their ground, and reminded everyone that free speech still matters, even in Hollywood's echo chamber. Ma is essentially saluting the rare few who didn't sell their souls for applause. And honestly, in today's climate, that kind of defiance deserves a standing ovation.
Our first award goes to the president of my alma mater, Cornell University, Martha Pollack. This month, students there demanded trigger warnings before all the lectures in case any of the adult subjects you specifically went to college to learn about came up. And Martha said, "Yeah, no, we're not doing that." She didn't cave in or hire a new dean of sensitivity. She just said, "No, college is for introducing you to new ideas, not for kissing your and making you feel wonderful and always."
Every university had the backbone and clarity of Martha Pollack. We'd be shaping a generation of bold leaders grounded in common sense rather than ideological fluff. For too long, higher education, especially in the years leading up to Trump, degenerated into a breeding ground for bizarre, impractical ideas that eroded the very moral foundation of society. Campuses became echo chambers where dissent was silenced, conformity was glorified, and intellectual curiosity was replaced by political correctness. Yet, even before Trump's presidency, voices like Martha Pollack refused to cave. She stood firm against the rising tide of wokeism, protecting the integrity of education. That courage, rare as it is, makes her worthy of the recognition Ma is handing out.
You're thinking of brunch with your parents. I'm just amazed at how this generation can simultaneously be too sensitive for anything distasteful and somehow also so into eating. So, Cornell, I present you with these balls. I sure could have used them when I was there.
When you take a hard look at the level of deviancy in today's younger generation, it's almost impossible not to be stunned. On one hand, they pride themselves on being bold, liberated, and unapologetically edgy, indulging in behaviors that would make their grandparents faint. Yet, on the other hand, these same young people crumble at the slightest verbal offense. The kind of degrading and debasing things they do to one another in the name of love or self-expression are jaw-dropping. And still, a single word, a joke, or even a different opinion can send them spiraling into outrage. The hypocrisy is staggering, and the irony is almost too rich to process.
Our next award goes to the place where many Cornell grads will be working next year, Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's, who for years have been selling a line of ethnically themed products, trading on the name Joe. For example, they have Trader Jose's beer. So, of course, one teenager on Twitter heard the word Jose and said it was racist, and then there was a petition.
Remember the Trader Joe's story like it was yesterday. The Twitter mob came for them with pitchforks, demanding apologies, groveling, and immediate re-education. Everyone expected the company to buckle under the pressure because that's what most corporations do these days. They cave, issue long-winded statements dripping with guilt, and rebrand themselves into oblivion. But Trader Joe's did the unthinkable. They stood their ground, refused to play along with the cancel culture circus, and guess what? The world didn't end. Sales didn't collapse.
Get a life and a sense of humor and released this statement. We disagree that any of these labels are racist, and we do not make decisions based on petitions. You see how easy it is? So to the home of the 19-cent banana, here, have some nuts.
Trader Joe's deserves every ounce of applause for standing tall against the so-called woke mob. In an era where most companies panic at the first sign of online outrage, Trader Joe's proved that courage still pays off. Their stand is a powerful reminder that anyone can push back and still come out on top. The mob isn't as mighty as it pretends to be. They're not an unstoppable army, just a handful of loud, perpetually outraged voices screaming into the void, especially on Twitter. And once you realize that, their power evaporates. Trader Joe's showed us exactly how it's done.
Next cojones goes to a man who's dear to my heart for standing up for stand-up. When dozens of Netflix employees walked out over Dave Chappelle's reckless decision to perform comedy on his comedy special. His Netflix employees that comedy exists to push boundaries and told them if you'd find it hard to support our content breadth, Netflix may not be the best place for you. So, for making the phrase, "don't let the door hit you in the ass," never sound better, this is for you, Ted.
Even comedians, people whose very job is to push boundaries and make us laugh at life's absurdities, haven't been spared by the wrath of cancel culture. The woke mob, with its endless appetite for outrage, has gone after some of the biggest names in comedy. Dave Chappelle was dragged through the mud for daring to joke about taboo subjects. Kevin Hart was cancelled from hosting the Oscars over decade-old tweets he had already addressed. Joe Rogan was attacked for conversations on his podcast that didn't toe the approved narrative. Even Rob Schneider, known for his goofy humor, wasn't immune to their relentless crusade. What's insane is that comedy has always thrived on challenging norms and poking fun at society's hypocrisies. But in today's climate, a one-off script joke is treated like a criminal act. The irony is painful. The people most dedicated to free expression are the ones being silenced the fastest.